Okay, now we're going to be talking about a plug receptacle, a plug tester, or receptacle tester. As you can see, I got two of them plugged in. Now the lights are on. Let me turn the switch on. Now all the lights are on. So now that tells me that I installed the switch right and my receptacle's right. As you can see, it's got two orange lights. That means it's correct. Same thing with this one. There's two different types. And then this is something you could use at your house if you have to work on something and turn power off. So over here, as I have the panel, this class does not detail wiring of the panel, so I did that aside. And then I put the panel cover on. And this is what I was talking about. This is the cover. There's that dead front that's protecting you. This is a used one that I took off the job. That's why it's missing some holes here. But I'm using it now for this intended purpose. The word school, I use the one at school. But here's the plug tester, so it tells me it's wired correct. Okay, I can plug one of these in, have somebody inside, and I can go to where the panel's at, and I can turn off breaker at a time. Oh, that didn't do it. Turn it back on. Turn that one off. That one didn't do it. You can see the orange light's still on. Come over here, do that one. That didn't do it. That didn't do it. That didn't do it. That didn't do it. So it must be this one. There we go. So that one right there is the one before it. You need to make sure the person yells out, "That's it, got it!" Or calls you on the phone. So you're on the, one person's inside on the phone, the other person's outside on the phone. That does it. So now power's off. I can turn the switch on and off, and you notice the lights are not coming on. Okay, now I can remove these. And I can go through the steps of removing the receptacle. The other way you can check is using a tester. Now you can buy there's a lot of different types of testers. I like using an amp probe because it gives me a variety of things that I can do with one tool. Even though I have multiple tools, I only grabbed one right now. So it's on voltage, say 0, come in here, still say 0. Okay, I'm going to turn the breaker on, turn the switch on. And now it says 121 volts. Okay? It says 121 volts. So now I know I got power on. Okay? The other is a non-contact tester. I keep this tool around just to show everybody on one of our safety rules that says give any worn or broken tools to your instructor. Well, I'm the instructor. Here's an example. Here's a worn and broken tool. The tip's broken off. You know, it should be broken off. It should be covered. Why? That's in the shock hazard. Guess what? This tool still works. Hey, we don't want to throw it away. It still works. Okay. Shock hazard still exists. So that's why you should remove tools. I just keep this as an safety. Okay. This one has a little light. You don't have to do that. Just get it in there, stick it in, and it makes a noise. Okay. What's the difference is the third one. This was still good. I don't have batteries in it. I don't use it anymore. The only problem with this one is if you're working with someone, they can't hear. This one is not audible. All this one does is the light comes on. If you're working in an area, you put this in, it starts making that noise. Other people know that the power's on. Okay. So if I got this, and I come in there and I stick it in, and only the light comes on, it doesn't make noise, other people think that the power is off. Okay, so it's always wise to let other people know that electricity is on in your area. Sorry for the airplanes, I'm right underneath Van Nuys Airport, flyby. So different non-contacts. Once we have found our source, and we turn the power off. I'll grab my tester again. Okay, it's off. I turn the switch off, turn the switch on, it's off. Okay, in this case, switch is off. Okay, I can turn the switch off. Now I know power's off. Always check both of them. Okay, power's off. These tools you can buy them Home Depot, Lowe's, Fry's, anything else. Same thing with these. Okay, Harbor Freight sells them. So this is the Home Depot brand, and this is a G&B. When I got, that's what these screwdrivers are. So it's a company that does make electrical parts. That's what these screwdrivers are too. Ideal is another company that makes all of these tools. Okay. They're all just as good. So that's what you're using. Once we have verified, turn the power off again. Power's off. Power's off. Turn the switch on. Power's off. Now I can grab my screwdriver. And remove the receptacle or the switch, whichever one you're changing. Now the process that I used to install it, I can use it now. Put this on reverse. This I don't recommend it to use it on the side. You're trying to tighten the screws is because you can rip the screw, you can strip the screws. It's always best to use the screwdriver on the screws on the receptacle. You don't want to tighten it too much because there's a torque that you have to have on them. For most parts, a lot of people don't use the torque wrench. I use a torque wrench, a torque screwdriver when I'm doing the breakers, not when I'm doing the receptacle. So again, like I said in the video, for the receptacles, the ground is first to make, last to break. So when we connect this, when we're doing it the first time, we do the ground, then the white, which is the grounded, and then the black, which is ungrounded. To disconnect, we do the grounding the last. So when we disconnect the receptacle, a switch or a receptacle, when we take we're going to take the hot off first. Okay. Always when you remove it, get your tester. Make sure power's off. Okay. So always check. Make sure power's off. Should have done that earlier, but because I knew I turned the breaker off. But always, that's why this is always handy to have it in your pocket, because you can always check. Okay, power's off. You can use a screwdriver, loosen the screws, take the wire off, take the wire off, take the wire off. Okay, if you got too many wires on there and it's confusing, you can always grab your cell phone, take a picture of it, and then hook it up the way you disconnect it. All you gotta do is look at the picture and hook it up the same way. Okay, that's on changing the receptacle. Okay, the idea of this one is defining the breaker, how to use the testers, and the breaker. How do you turn the breaker on and off? Okay. This is a different type of breaker. That's what's in there. Okay, this one is in the trip position. Trip is when you plug too many things in and all of a sudden the power goes off. So it goes to the center part. In order to go that is you go to off, that way, and then back on. And your power should come back on. If it's only an overload, that's when you plug in. You know, you got in the kitchen, you plug in the microwave, you plug in the coffee pot, you plug in the toaster, and you try to turn all of them on at the same time, and all of a sudden, bloop, breaker trips. Okay? To turn the breaker on, for most panels that have breakers like this, it's to the left is on, to the right is on, off. And it says on and off. All breakers must be identified with an on and an off. Okay, this one has an on top and an off on the bottom. So again, I got two breakers. This was a Square D home line, and this is a Murray. They're both in the trip position. because there's too much load. So there's in the middle, straight up and down. Okay, to turn it on is go to off first. So it's going to be this way off. Here's trip, here is on. So I'll go all the way. Now it goes to the on position. Okay, here's the square D. Okay, again, it's in the trip position. If I want to reset it, go all the way to off and all the way to on, and it comes on. To turn it on and off is just like that. Okay, so this is the video on setting the breaker. How do you find the breaker? Again, I plugged my tester in and I went breaker to the breaker to the breaker, and I turned it off, turned it on until I found the one where the power went in. My breaker is off. Okay, I changed my receptacle, get my receptacle back in the box. I used a smaller screwdriver for the screws. My screwdriver is just a little bit too big for it. I want to grab my trim screwdriver. This is my trim screwdriver. This is an uninsulated tool. This is an uninsulated tool. And these are insulated tools. Uninsulated, insulated. Okay. I'm going to turn the breaker back on. Breaker's on. I'm going to get the plug tester, plug it in. Okay, not working. Turn the switch on. There. Light came on, and it's wired correct. So if the two orange lights come on, that means it's wired correct. If this red light comes on, and then something's wrong. Or if they don't come on, something's wrong. And again, I found the breaker. It's just a matter of turning breakers on and off. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? No. Is it that one? No. That one? No. That one? No. That one? No. There it is. Lights went out. Okay. So that is on the use of a contact, non-contact. Okay. So you don't have to come in contact. All you have to get is to close proximity, and it tells you if power's there. And this is a plug tester. Again, if you get tools that are broken or worn, never use them. Get another one. Alright, I hope this was very educational. And in this video, in the discussion board, one is I want to see if anybody catches any unsafe condition that I did from our safety test. And the other would be a discussion on how to turn the breaker on and off and how to use the tester. Okay, thank you very much. See you on the next video.